And for every pound you over, I will fine you for $1,000.
You're just,
are you okay
you're
with
just
that?
upset right now.
Weddings are almost upon us, and of course, you guys, at the final hour, people are having tantrums over prenups.
And so this is just something I feel like I need to protect myself with in case, you know, the changes get too much. Or
Making wild ultimatums.
We will add to the prenup. Are you okay with that? I have a weight target for you, right? 128 pounds.
You will lose me.
So is you're the cruise? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And of course, asking some off-the-wall questions.
Know that I would love you no matter what.
Are you bisexual?
It makes you wonder, have these people ever had a real conversation in the entirety of their relationship? No. The answer is no. We have a lot to cover. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90 Day Fiancé. We're going to jump straight into it, starting with the plastics, Shekinah and Sarper. So when we pick up with these lovebirds, they are obviously in much better spirits to the point that they're going to get tats. And at this point, I don't even want to call them tattoos. They're practically branding themselves for each other. Shekinah wants his name on her neck and she wants him to get her lips on his neck. And this decision, as impulsive as it may seem, is brought to her because she finally gets the blessing from her daughter. As you guys recall, her daughter was on the fence about whether or not, Sarper would be a good addition, given the way that he exploded her family. So she was like, I'm trying to see if you're trying to do good by my mom. And I guess she saw what she needed to see, because we see a moment between her and Shekinah where Shekinah gets the blessing. And Shekinah is filled with plastic, so it's hard to get some real emotion out of her. But I will say, I think it was like the most genuine moment that we've seen. She got really emotional. Only she and God knows what they all went through. So it was a sweet moment. So we see them get tatted. Everything is great, right? Shekinah and Sarper, I've made no secret that they are not faves of mine. However, they are very twisted in a way that almost feels like they fit just right. They seem to get each other really well. And this is amplified in this episode in the most toxic of ways. We see them get ready to meet up with her friends, okay? And she's like, we're at the end of the 90 days. My friends are probably expecting a wedding invite tonight. And they're like kikiing about it. And she's like, do not tell them that they're not invited. Let's pose it in a different way, that we want something a little more private. Okay, whatever. This seems very unlike them, but whatever, right? And so she's talking to him like he's a caveman. She's like, no, let's reframe it. Let's tell them this way. Pull up to this bar. It's very red. And it takes like 2 seconds before everyone's already asking about the wedding. To which Sarper's like, well, there isn't going to be a wedding. And they're like, come again? And they're like, oh, well, we're not going to have a wedding. We're going to have a bedding. As in, we're getting married in our bed. So no, you are not invited. The crickets in that room, if her friends' faces didn't have as much plastic, you would probably see more emotion. But they were all just stuck at and so immediately another friend is like, all right, you're having no wedding, but you are having a prenup, right? To which Shekinah's like, oh, well, we didn't think about it. And they're like, oh, well, you should. And another one comes in. And at first I was curious as to why she was so passionate. But we learned that she is Shekinah's business manager. She's fully aware of the work that they've done together to get Shekinah to a good place. She doesn't want Sarper to come in and to take it all away. So she's like, no, you really need that to protect yourself, to protect both of you. Sarper's like, in my country, we don't do that. That's a rude thing to ask, especially the optics of her putting that to a man. And Shekinah's like, well, now that you say it, maybe we should consider it. And Sarper's pissed, but he's doing the thing where he's trying to stay monotone because he's gonna explode kind of thing. But then, you guys, in the most sinister of ways, is you know what? I'll sign it, but it's important that I add a clause. You want to know what the fuck? You want to know what that freaking clause was, you guys? This man is like, well, you remember that I want you to weigh 128 pounds. So I'm going to weigh you every month at the top of the month. And for every pound that you are over that, you have to pay me X amount of dollars. In the room, when he said that, everyone was like, oh, what did he say? Shekinah is as cool as a cucumber. We have heard Sarper talk like this before.
The same guy that was trying to weigh me from day one.
Come on, let's see.
Wait.
132.
132?
4 pounds off.
This is why I did not like him. He is disgusting. And he has shown us that that is who he still is at his core. Shekinah is not even flinching because she's used to this. This is who she met. And her approach to this is, he doesn't mean it. He's just saying that because, you know, he wants to be vindictive because I'm even talking about a prenup. That's all. It's fine. And she's like, you know, if anything, like, I don't want to gain weight. So, like, it's whatever. Like, I'll sign it, whatever. And all her friends are like, don't sign that. What the hell? And she's like, it's fine. It's like telling me to wash the dishes when I was already going to wash the dishes. Girl, this is what I mean when I'm like, they're twisted twin flames. Like, they are just as toxic, so they work, but that doesn't mean that it's okay, you know? Because now she's on social media crying like, oh, he's the worst to me, he's so controlling, he's this, he's that. But in every scene that we've ever seen them together, she praises his toxicity. It was disgusting. And I don't care if he said that just because he's upset. That's just such a nasty way to handle it. And he ultimately ends up getting up and like walking off because he doesn't want to explode. But like, what you said is equivalent to exploding in my opinion. So that's it for them. Let's move on to the Throuple, which is honestly a continuation of the plastics. We see the couple, Amini and Matt, the next morning lamenting about the night before and the fact that they don't really know who Brenda really is. And Amini is very competitive, so she's still like harping on the fact that Ray happens to know more about Brenda, even though apparently Brenda and Ray were together a less amount of time than she has been in this Throuple. But I think the difference is that probably Ray cared to know her deeper, and I feel like the Throuple is very sexually charged. Like, who knows, Amini and Matt? Maybe Ray doesn't treat her like property. And so Amini's done sulking. She wants to go by the pool. Matt joins her, and she's like, you know, I really just want answers. I don't want a sob story. Matt is like, yeah, I don't want a sob story, but I also don't want none of that. It's lost in translation. And I thought that that was so disgusting. And while I think that Amini is a ringleader in this mess, I think that Matt is just as toxic as Amini, because the way that he would fix his mouth to say that jab about translation when he purposely seeks out foreign women is violent as fuck to me. I didn't like that comment, and I think that some people may think that it's like, you know, subtle or like not a big deal. It's a big deal. I think it's a microaggression. And I also just want to call their bluff, because at every turn they're like, oh, Annie doesn't understand the sacrifices that we're making for her. You know, we left our kids. Go home. Go to your kids. But you're not going to leave, are you? Then stop bringing them up. Annie eventually calls them. She's like, I want to talk to you. I want to explain. You know, I want to give you my truth. I'm going to come with a translator. She pulls up. I'm immediately icked out by the whole situation because I feel like they have her right where they wanted her. They wanted her to come in and grovel at their feet. But she comes in. She actually brings her friend as a translator. And she's like, Ray, I think, lied about a few things. And she says, she's like, I am no longer married. This is my name, my full name. I gave you part of it. It's not a lie. I am not married. I have the piece of paper. Apparently it took her years to get that because it was one-sided. Her ex-husband was abusive. She lived years of hardship, of DV in her relationship, and so he wouldn't give her the divorce. So she had to jump through hoops. And because of that, because she was still tied to him through marriage, she couldn't use her name for legal things, otherwise he would have access to it. Hence, why her bank account is under Ray's name. So I know we were all joking, like, is she under witness protection? Like, what is it? Well, her personal kind of witness protection, yeah. So to have this married couple come in here and try to blow up your life, I would be furious. I think Annie is giving them way too much grace. And I think she's giving them so much power and I don't like it. They feel stupid and they're like, oh my God, like now all of this makes sense, but we want to make sure that you stay as open like this with us. Don't shut down again. And then this is where Amini like creeps in and she's like, and you know, so I'm really looking forward to meeting your family and to meet them as your girlfriend, right? And Annie like begrudgingly is like, yes, sure. And I'm just like, again, like this is just another form of like blowing up her spot. Her family seems super conservative. They're super religious. She leads an alternative lifestyle for survival. This is not gonna go well. So next week we're gonna see them meet her family, and I wish that they didn't. Hi, if you're still here, make sure to like and comment. It really does help me. And if you're new here, subscribe. And if you've already been here, love you. But let's move on to Alliya&Shawn. Alliya is in here lasering her own legs, okay? Shawn comes in and he weirdly, I think that the way that he did this was weird. He was like, oh, you're using the toy that I bought you?
So you're doing your new laser hair removal toy that I bought you? How's it working?
Was that weird for anyone else? It's no secret that he funds their lifestyle. Like it hasn't been a secret that he's done that since she was in Brazil. I just have a issue with like the dangling of it. I don't know, that was just a little strange to me. But he comes in and he has this paper in hand and he's like, yeah, so you know, our wedding is soon. And yeah, so I want to get this prenup to you because it'll make me feel secure going into this marriage. I am all for prenups. We've had this conversation so many times. I feel like it comes up every season, whether it's with 90 Day Fiancé, whether it's Love is Blind. I think that it's a great tool to protect both of you. I think that people are scared of prenups because they don't realize that they also have power in it. You have power before you sign. You can put in clauses. It's great. And I believe that Aliyah's issue is him thinking that she's in it just for money. But also I think her issue, at least when I heard it, was that Shawn is leading like, yeah, you know, all these changes are happening with your transition. And like, just in case it becomes too much, we're protected. Like, that's crazy to be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to want to stay married to you. So, and Alliya just told us the episode before that she's like, I feel like he's already thinking about our ending before we begin. So I mean, I imagine that it's hard to be present and hard to enjoy the moment when your partner is not even here. If I were Alliya, I would use this opportunity to enter clauses of like, okay, like even if we break up, you're agreeing to pay for this, this, and that. Which, in my opinion, I already feel like they've agreed to. I don't know if you guys hear it, but they're playing Dembow outside of my window, like blasting. New York is always in rare form when it is nice out, but like it's not even summer yet, and there's already music blasting. I really hope I'm able to mute it. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. I hope I can mute it. But anyway, y'all, he hands her the prenup. She's not happy about it. We see them a few days later. She is still stalling on it. She has not signed it, to the point that all of this is stalling their wedding plans. So we see them go to his mom's house. It's like a July 4th celebration for Alliya. Decor everywhere, really nice. The mom is like, Shawn, why is everything so last minute with the planning? And he's like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm planning for a wedding or a party because somebody hasn't signed the paperwork. And he says that he doesn't want to like push Alliya, but being passive aggressive is equal to pushing it. I'm also looking at Alliya like, what's the actual issue? Is it that you are mad that you have to sign this at all? Or is it that you feel like he shouldn't even bother getting married to you? Like, what is it? Because ultimately, once the 90 days end, if you're not married, you have to leave. It's just very interesting because, again, like I have been championing Alliya. I think that they have an agreement. I think that she is beautiful. I think that she deserves to have the life that she envisioned. I think that Shawn is equal parts delusional and also equal parts a great partner. But I think in this episode, Aliyah's being a bit delusional because he's a well-established man. He's, you know, created this life for himself. I think it's delusional to think that he wouldn't expect you to sign a prenup. And I think that with someone like Shawn, even if I feel like his attitude's a bit stank sometimes, he has been so generous. Every season we have seen him in, he's been just like bringing her luggages of clothes, hair extensions, and taking care of everything. If I were with someone like Shawn, I'd sign anything because I'm like, I know that I'm taken care of. He's exemplified that. I feel like if he was stingy, we would be having a different conversation, you know? But let's move on to Greg and Joan. Y'all, Greg is on cloud 9 right now. He has a job. His parents are covering the wedding, which means that with his savings, he was able to pay off the dowry. And because he's such a goofball, his way of announcing it to Joan is to literally dress up like a cow. He's like, your family has all these cows now on my dime. Let me pull up like one for you. And she is cracking up. He tells her that it's done, and you could see the relief come over her. And I'm just so happy for them because now they can be present in their wedding, you know? And she's like, yeah, this makes me feel like you respect my culture, you respect my dad's final wishes. Love that for them. Also, she is taking out her braids. Her hair looks gorgeous. She's rocking this glorious fro. I'm like, Joan, how did you get prettier? And now it is time for her bachelorette party. So Lucille is joining her, which I love for Lucille because I know she felt bad that she wasn't able to go to the dress fitting. And I know some of you had mixed feelings about it too. I understood all sides, but I'm glad that she's here at this bachelorette that's being thrown by all of Greg's girlfriends, which I thought was extra sweet because Joan doesn't have her family and her friends here. So she needs all the love, all the girl power, and they're taking her to a women's strip club. Joan was excited. She was having a good time, but she was also trying to like downplay it because her mother-in-law was right next to her. However, Lucille was lit and she was having a good old time. They got Joan her own private dance. It was hilarious to the point that Lucille's like, I see Joan looking at this girl. She better not try to practice that upstairs. Can you imagine? I wouldn't be surprised if Lucille has heard Joan and Greg do the nasty. That is something. Let's move on to Juan&Jessica really quick. It's really hard to cheer for couples that you're just like, why are you here? It's the day after the bachelorette party. Things are tense because Juan thought that it was a great idea to tell Jessica while she was drunk that he wants to go back to the cruise. So he's telling his cousin, he's like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. And we see her talk to her girlfriend, Megan, who I'm just like, girl, I understand this is your best friend, but Megan is not the appropriate soundboard to say anything about Juan because she hates him. She hates him because she can't have you. Or maybe because she can't have him. I don't really know. But the reason I don't like Jessica, I just feel like she's so dismissive. And like, I want to side with her because I too would not want to be apart from my husband for months at a time and have to take care of our children by myself. But it's the way that she's like, yeah, you know, he's just upset that he doesn't have a job, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And while you want him to understand where you come from, you need to do the same for him. So automatically I'm like, ugh. But she says that her frustration comes from the fact that he was supposed to be done with the cruise 2 contracts ago. And the only reason he was able to continue was because they were having visa troubles. It wasn't approved yet. So he stayed working. But she's like, we had a plan and now you want to change up from the plans. They finally get some time alone. It's very interesting. Even like the way that it's filmed. He's like crawling down, I think adjusting or being with the baby, and she's like standing over him. And she's like, yeah, so like, why would you bring that up? Blah, blah, blah. And he's acting really mousy in front of her. They're like talking without really talking. But then in his confessional, he's acting all tough. Like, yeah, you know, people make sacrifices all the time for their family. And we're just going to have to do that because I need to work. I need to provide. He's not saying any of that in front of Jessica. And in her confessional, she's like, listen, he needs to decide because we're getting married soon and I'm not going to be a cruise wife. Then we see them back home. Megan makes an appearance again. I guess they're going to keep bringing her because otherwise these two are boring. And Megan brings colorful paper. And Jessica's like, yeah, you know, we're going to make, you know, the paper flowers for the wedding since you wanted a piece of your culture. To which Huang says, that's from my culture? She's like, yeah. And he's like, I've never seen that before. A for effort is what I'm going to say. But they had to sit here and make these paper flowers. And then Megan opens her mouth and is like, yeah, so what's that thing about you ruining a perfect night, bringing up the cruise? You know that's not good for your family. And at that point, I would have been like, party over. Because Megan, How is that any of your business? Juan is not marrying you. He doesn't owe you an explanation. Now, if Jessica wants to share that with you, that's her business. Juan does not owe you a thing. And the way Megan's husband is looking at her like, can you not? But she just can't be stopped. And so when they leave, Jessica pulls up on him. She's like, listen, you do have to think this over and decide, because I'm not comfortable being a cruise wife. I never agreed to that. And so you have to decide if you want to be with the cruise or you want to lose me and your family. And he is shooked. He looks bamboozled. He's like, I didn't think that she would ever ask me for an ultimatum. And again, he is being mousy in front of her, but in his confessional, he's like, I feel like she's trying to control me. And then they pan back to in person and he's like, I have to choose between you. And she's like, yeah, basically. And the way that she's going about it, it leaves more to be desired, but I at least appreciate her directness, you know? Like, there is no confusion as to where she stands. So it really is up to him. And he says, of course I'm going to choose my family. And I assume that he would choose his family without a doubt. I just think that I foresee them being together. I just don't know if it's going to be a happily ever after situation, if you know what I mean. Now let's move on to the final couple, Mahdi&Stevi. I'm laughing because I don't even know where these two are going to go. Just when I think I know, I don't. And last episode, I think Mahdi confused me and Saeed when he was like, oh, like everything's forgotten, everything's fine. But then we see them the morning after the bachelorette and he looks like he has seen a ghost. And Stevie's trying to find an angle in, you know, she's like trying to offer him coffee, trying to talk to him, and he's not really giving her much. And did I mention that their wedding is tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. So he's like, yeah, you know, the show was a lot. It was a lot. And I noticed some things, like the way that you were enjoying them. And she's like, what? And she's like, you know, I know that it was a lot for you, but you should have told me something. And I'm like, girl, physical cues were not enough for you. The way that he was fidgeting, the way that he kept looking at you, the way that he eventually got up and left, that wasn't a physical cue for you. And when we get Mahdi in the confessionals, he basically tells us that he has been stewing on all of his doubts, on the fact that she was enjoying the show too much, on the fact that she gets really upset when he asks questions. So he has been just taking it in and just keeping them buried. But now their wedding is approaching and he is in distress. So he says he's going to go meet up with Saeed. And Stevie's like, about Saeed, what's up with that? And Maddie's like, yeah, you're sensing something because it's my fault, because I might have overshared. To which Stevie's like, cringe. But also it's connecting all of the dots for her as to why certain moments have just been questionable. But I just find Stevie hypocritical because she's like, you know, you have to tell me what you're thinking. You have to tell me everything that you're going through. Like, how can I trust you if you're hiding things from me? When he's open, you literally berate him because how dare he ask you questions? And you're literally the one keeping secrets. And so now Mr. I wanted to push the wedding closer is regretting it completely. He has everyone that has ever told him to slow down for playing in his mind. And he's like, damn, what am I going to do? Okay. So he meets up with Saeed and he's like, last night was crazy, right? To which Saeed is like, yeah, I've been here for some time and it was a wild time. And Maddie's like, yeah, you know, I thought that I was pretty open-minded, but last night let me know that I actually have some boundaries and I saw some things and I'm like, I just want to know what's up and I have a lot of doubts and I don't know about this marriage thing so soon. And Saeed is like, okay, so don't get married. And Maddie's like, no, but actually, I think that all the problems that we have, we can solve them after we're married. And Saeed and I both had the same face. Because what? I'm a big believer that in the beginning of relationships, things that bother you are small. A year from now, they'll be magnified. You never want to bury it. You want to talk about it. You want to nip it. You have to unpack it. And Maddie is just pushing it down. And he's saying that that is what he grew up doing. That is what his dad did. And he believes that that is a sacrifice and that is what you do for love. Maddie, sir, that sounds painful. I think that that is the quickest way to build resentment, you know? And Saeed is like, listen, I'm not trying to come off pushy, like I don't want my friend to get married, but I want him to make the right decision for him. And things are looking very sus right now. So Saeed is telling Maddie, listen, you have some time. Like, are you sure you don't want to you know, wait to get married? And Maddie's like, I just have a lot to think about. Okay. So then we see, so they say goodbye and he goes with Stevie and they're on their way, I guess, to the town where they're going to get married. And Stevie's like, I noticed you're a little quiet. He's like, yeah, you know, I want to talk to you now, right now. And she's like, oh, you want to talk now? You want to talk later? And he's like, later. And then she's upset that he says later. Why give him the illusion of choice? They eventually get to like this historic, like a bed and breakfast before their wedding. It looks like they've had a late night. She does look sleepy. I'll give her that. She still wants to know what's going on in his mind. But they're awkwardly in this bed and she's like, I've noticed that you've been super reserved, like you're holding something back. You're not really talking. And he's like, I feel like I can't say anything without you getting mad. Apparently, he never felt that before. He could always be open with her. But since he's gotten to America, it's been different. And she's like, well, that's not fair to me that you're holding things back. And he's like, well, I can't say what I want to say without you getting upset. And she's like, oh, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. That's not an apology, Stevie.
No, I'm not just walking around trying to get mad at you.
Because that's how I feel.
And he's still stalling before he's saying what he really wants to say. And she can sense it. And she's applying pressure, like, can you just say what you have to say? And he's like, I'll love you no matter what. I need you to know that. But are you bisexual? And she starts like, I think she's crying or maybe just rubbing her face. But she's like, ugh, like what is even happening? And then all of a sudden, she's too tired to talk. What? If I were Maddie, I would be like, girl, every time I ask you this question, you give me this reaction, I'm going to take it as a yes. But there's still a bigger issue that you build up this wall and you expect me to be 100% transparent, but you don't want to be 100% transparent. Stevie doesn't owe any of us any explanation on her sexuality, but she does owe it to the man that she's going to marry. It's just a matter of transparency. It's a matter of trust. And I'm not sure that her sexuality will be make or break for him. I think the other things are make or break. But if I were Stevie, I would want to be my full self with who I'm going to marry because I need to know that they're going to love me no matter what and they're going to make me feel safe. And I can't imagine going to sleep day in and day out with someone that I feel like I have to hide myself from. But then on the other side of that, in Maddie's shoes, I would hate to be with someone that I feel like purposely hides things from me. Or a person that makes me feel small or stupid because I'm asking questions that worry me. And instead of giving me peace and giving me answers and security, they purposely deflect and make fun of me or all of a sudden are tired. And I just feel like this is going to be a reoccurring thing. It's going to be the cloud in the relationship. And you should iron those things out before you get married. But who am I, right? I haven't gotten married, so what do I know? And that's it for the recap, you guys. That's it for the episode. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I look forward to reading them. You guys, I am starting to post vlogs in my personal channel. I just posted one from my experience at the Beyonce concert. Still figuring out my vlogging style because I am new to this, but I'm really excited to do it and get a little more personal with you guys. So I will link it in the description. So make sure to subscribe to that. And also, you guys, I do want to do like a Q&A kind of video. I got a few questions, but if you guys have more questions for me, do include them in the comment section of this video too, and I will save them because I would like to do that. Let's see. I'm trying to think what other updates. I haven't started Hunt for Love. I will give it a watch and see if anything about it jumps at me to talk about with you guys. I'm not too sure though. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one.